Hi class, this is Dr. B and I am doing a quick little video about Chapter 6 and midterm review. I want to make sure that everyone understands the expectations of the midterm and have time to prepare for it next week. Please forgive my lack of makeup. I'm about to go have a procedure done on my face, and so I couldn't wear makeup, but I'm gonna look even worse after the procedure apparently, so I figured I'm gonna do my video now instead of really scare you guys later. So anyways, I have posted a few things in the course materials. You'll notice something that says 4 components. It gives you a kind of a more specific breakdown of those 4 components, and we will continue to talk about the 4 components. Remember, those are guidance, curriculum, individual planning, responsive services, and system support. If there's one thing you must know leaving this class, it is that you have to understand the 4 components. It is the framework of everything that we do, and so that's why we keep going back to it and back to it and back to it, and it's going to be on your midterm, it's going to be on your final. I'm going to weave it into everything we do because it is so critical, and when we get to the upcoming year-long guidance plan, it's going to play another pivotal role. So absolutely review that document in preparation for the exam, the midterm exam that will happen next week. So let's go ahead and open our EDSC 5310 lesson for the week. And if you notice, I started the chapter is actually on leadership and collaboration in school counseling, and so I thought this great verse was really just befitting of the message that we're trying to create here. And it says, "Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant." And as you know, at Dallas Baptist University, we believe in servant leadership. And that's kind of what this message is saying here. In order to lead, we must serve. I lead 147 school districts every single day in the counseling realm, and I can't lead just being the expert. That doesn't mean anything. What I have to do is really be there to support them in whatever they need. I have districts that call me and they're like, "Hey, can you just come out and help us with something?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, yes, I will be there." Sometimes I anticipate the needs. I see crises and things that are happening around the region, and I reach out and I say, "Hey, can I come help you? Is there anything you need?" But we have to serve. When you serve others, you gain that leadership title. You become respected. You become valued. It's such an amazing experience when you see it in practice, but it's also really hard to do because sometimes we get in the idea that, oh, we're in upper leadership now, we're in management now, we need to act a certain way or be a certain way, and you don't. You just need to be you. And remember that every role in a building is important. I'm not above picking up trash. I'm not above cafeteria duty. I'm not above morning duty, afternoon duty, whatever duty they want to give me. We've got to be able to be those servant leaders and support the people we work with. So just kind of simmer on that for a little bit. I'm telling you, it's taken me a long time to really understand that message, but now I get it, and it has changed. It's changed the way I work. It changes the way I view the world. It changed my perspective every day. So kind of think that through for a few seconds, and we're gonna continue on. So chapter 6. Oops, sorry about that. Chapter 6, again, I'm not going to go into the details of it too much because it's all pretty laid out. It's laid out there pretty easily for you. It is talking about leadership, types of leaderships, and the collaboration. So what I want to say about collaboration, and I'm going to let you go through the slides yourself, is that this is an everybody approach. Counseling can no longer be just a job held by counselors. Admin has to be involved, teachers have to be involved, the community has to be involved. Everybody has to be involved for this to work. And that's a hard thing to accomplish. With time, you can do it. With building trust with different people and organizations and groups, it will happen. But if you are alone on an island, you're never going to be able to produce the work that you need. You're never going to be available for kids the way they need, and your program is going to struggle. And so getting your administrators on board, getting your teachers on board, getting all of the important stakeholders on board is one of the things that you have to work on as that school counselor. And I have to say, I didn't walk into a school where everyone was warm and welcoming and ready to embrace me. On the contrary, apparently prior to me coming on board, the counselor in place had a reputation for not being very effective. Now, I can't really judge. I don't know. Sometimes people don't really know what we do, or they assume we're always in our offices. So I couldn't let that kind of impact the way that I was going to work, or judge anyone else for the way they worked or the way they were perceived. Because as we know, perception, although can sometimes be reality for some people, it's just perception. And we don't really know what was happening with that counselor and in her role. And so I really had to rebuild trust with everybody, because everyone thought I was just going to be the same type of person. And so it took a lot of effort, but within a year, there were so many decisions that I was making collectively with with staff, with principals, with the community, and it really was a great experience, and it kind of set the tone for my career in counseling and the advocacy that I do for kind of teaching counselors now. It can be done. I'm living proof it can be done. You just have to really take the time to build that trust and serve. Okay, anytime teachers needed help, I was there. Anytime admin needed help, I was there. I served alongside them in everything they did. The custodian needed help, I was there. And so you build these relationships that will help you in the long run better support kids. So then I could have these crucial conversations where, no, I can't do cafeteria duty today because I need to work with kids. Or how about I change the way I do cafeteria duty so that I can meet kids during that time. And so once you've developed that trust and people see what you're doing and the impact of your work, you're going to start to make that change you want to see. Chapter 6 was pretty short, so I'm going to let you read through the chapter. I'm going to let you look through the slides. I do want to go to the last slide, which is the midterm review. And just as a reminder, the midterm covers chapters 1 through 6, but they are scenario based. I really don't find a lot of knowledge in multiple choice. My job is to really help simulate what it's like to be a counselor. And so the scenarios that I present to you in the midterm will do that. They are all true scenarios. They actually all happened during my career. I could probably write scenarios for days. Don't worry, you don't have 100 scenarios or anything. Actually, your test, I believe, is about 10 questions, and 5 or 6 are scenarios. But if you looked at chapter 5 notes, if you haven't looked at it, you might want to go back and check it out. I gave you a lot of scenarios there from the book. So whether you have the 5th edition or the 6th edition, the page numbers might be off, but the scenarios are still there. And so I want you to read through those, think about them, because I'm gonna create a scenario, and then I'm gonna ask you about 5 questions within each scenario. You must answer every question I pose in that scenario to get all of the points for that question. Guys, I want to remind you that we're in graduate school. You're not going to be able to respond to my scenarios with one sentence. If it's one sentence response, then you're probably not going to get very many points. Think through the scenario, think through the questions, make sure you're answering every question. I've had some students ask, can I break the questions out? Absolutely. If you want to break them out there's a workspace in the midterm where you can break out however you want to, whatever's easiest and best for you. Just remember, I expect that every question be answered. You're going to want to review your ethics documents. The ethics standards document is in course materials. We've talked about ethics already. I think that was chapter 3. And you need to have some foundational proof for the decisions that you're making on the scenarios. A lot of that will come from your ethics. A lot of it, what you haven't realized, is that all of the discussion board questions and some of the journal questions have been so that you can specifically look at certain areas of ethics or certain areas in the book so that you're better prepared for the midterm. Okay, I've been preparing you this whole time, you just didn't know it. Again, I'm not here to torture you. I'm not here to make an exam that's just super crazy and hard. That's not helpful. But I do want to see that you're learning. And, you know, if I find consistent holes for a lot of students, then that tells me I haven't done something right and I need to relook at the way I'm teaching things or go back and reteach. I do not take off points if I notice a trend. So I'm pretty fair in my grading, but I am a lot more nitpicky on my midterms and finals than I am on the homework and the other assignments. So just keep that in mind. Review the 4 components document. That's already posted for you. And the last thing I want to talk about, because I'm not sure how much detail we've gone into this. You know, I teach a couple of courses, and we're all in different parts of the book, and so I just really can't remember. So I'm gonna give you a hint. There's going to be a lot of questions or parts of the scenario are going to address, you know, when do we involve CPS? So CPS is Child Protective Services. So when are we going to reach out to them? Obviously, if there's, you know, physical, emotional abuse, neglect, all of those different types of abuse that need to be called upon, you know, that would be a reason to reach out. There's also questions that say, when do we call versus do an online submission? And I don't think I've been clear about that. So there are 2 ways to report. One is on the phone and one is through the online submission. If this is an immediate threat, so an immediate emergency kind of issue, so visible bruises, sexual abuse, those are things that we can't sit on. We call CPS because you're going to get a live person and it's going to move through the system a lot faster. When we submit an email, or not an email, but an online submission for CPS, that online submission actually goes to Austin and then filters back down to our local agencies. That doesn't happen very quickly. It takes a couple of days for that information to go to Austin and come back down to Dallas, Irving, Grand Prairie, wherever you're at. It takes time. So during that time, you know, this child is in a lot of risk. So we definitely don't want to wait for an online submission. So if it's an immediate danger, sexual abuse or visible bruising, physical abuse, we're going to call. And a lot of times we're also going to get our SRO involved, Student Resource Officer, because they also work with CPS. They combine forces. If it's something that, you know, we're not sure, it might be a neglect thing, or the kid mentioned something that's, something in my eye, mentioned something's just a little weird in their home, you know, we can go ahead and do an online submission and let them figure out if they're going to come out and visit with this student. So anyways, remember, I'm always available via email, text message. Those of you who text me and email me, you know you get a response pretty quickly. I'll probably be out of commission for the next couple of days, but I'll still be checking my email and my phone, obviously. So take care, guys. Let me know if you need anything. Bye.